I've been talking about relationships between people and the need to get out of a master-slave relationship as long as I've been talking about geopolitics and other issues. But especially so in the last few years as I went through a lifestyle change, a geographical change, a major economic change, and you can even say a shift with some of the content on this channel. If you compare what it is now and the things being discussed now to the days of Outside the Box in Portland, Oregon, similar topics, more involved in the Portland culture, if you will, dating various people, looking for love in all the wrong places. So I have a little bit of experience with regards to this. I don't claim to have all the answers, nor is this relationship advice. What I think it really is what they call a word of encouragement, but those of you that are out there, you're not alone. And the thing is, as I've mentioned in the other videos, there's a lot of social programming in a lot of men and women today. And a lot of men and women today don't know about social programming. So when they're coming up against programming or when someone harms them, they may identify that with a gender. We see other forms of illusions of separation in this world, many of which leads to the loss of life. But with regards to relationships, it's important for people to understand that in today's society, there's a lot more complex things going on within the average human brain. And technology has changed things quite a bit. With smartphone technology and instantaneous communication, in some ways, people are amping their game up, if you will, to the next level, playing the game with social media, manipulating several partners at the same time. Kind of an immoral use, I would say, of one's sexuality. And I think that there is such a thing as sexual morality. And being honest about your relationships is one of those things. Some argue that monogamy isn't really in our nature, but what I can say is the whole polygamous, right? No marriage, no family, bouncing from person to person with a whole lot of head problems, right? It seems like my generation is really marked by that. Nor does it really come with, you know, the loving 70s songs, the beautiful songs from the 70s, and in some cases the 80s, you know it, as cheesy as those moments might have been. You know, and I think looking back, you know, we can all maybe look back at that period where total freedom was new to our world, if you will, that much dating that fast, you know, in the modern world. And with that comes a lot of heartbreak that a lot of people don't understand. The problem that I think a lot of men have, and maybe some women, surely some women, is the ability to be happy alone. And so we're inundated with, I would call it propaganda. You know, I could think back to my earliest memories of listening to love songs on the radio, Love Bites by Def Leppard, and maybe thinking about a girl, for example, in school that I had a crush on, in Love's Bites, or what was the other tear-jerking song by Def Leppard at the time? Too Late for Love, Hysteria. You know, so there was something about those records that really, really sold because a whole lot of people were going through heartbreak. And we could see that, you know, that apex in the late 80s going into the 90s. You know, a lot of these songs about codependency and just the modern digital human poetry. See, the thing is, emotion is good, and it's good to get involved in healthy relationships. But a lot of humans thrive on the experience of being human, and then they forget the more important things along the way. So our senses, and I'm kind of going outside the box here, as men and women, are wired to a certain degree, and I believe there's custom tailor programming for men and custom tailor programming for women. There could be things going on the television set that are influencing sexuality because there's some sort of an agenda. Sometimes I think the agenda of featuring some things is to rile up certain elements of society. They see members of different sexes, but most especially different ethnicities. And then there are people getting riled up about this. And then some people feel that they're inundated with that. And some could even say the after effect of that is and I would say it's an intended consequence, not a unintended, jealousy. There's also that problem between men. The jealousy over the woman, which is primal, which is ancient. And I think that it takes something to rise above one's senses, to be so animalistic. And even with regards to, hey, don't look at my girlfriend. The way I think a healthy relationship should operate between a man and a woman is there shouldn't be any tension of somebody looking at somebody. There shouldn't be that defensiveness. If the relationship is strong and solid, who cares if some guy looks at your girl? What is this, the Middle East? And see, that's what people forget. There's a lot of needless aggression, basically, to be frank, over who's having sex with who in this world. And it takes something to rise above that anger. And it takes something to rise above the anger at the opposite sex, thinking that they owe us something. And that would include sexual compassion or sexual healing. We're not owed that by anyone. It's a byproduct of being a human being. It's a pleasurable aspect of being a human being, but in my own life, and I set this as a goal several years ago, and I use the MGTOW acronym, but have drifted away from the box that I believe that it is. But for me, it was about setting myself free from the Portland, Oregon experience and that sense that someone else needed to heal me and be a part of my mission and what it is that I do on this platform. And you may have something that you're passionate about as well. You may have wished that people have come along over the years to appreciate your art or something that you're really good at. But the thing is about people that make a life out of their passion, sometimes it's required for that to be your love. For your love to be directed at mankind, womankind, peace for all, instead of one's own personal satisfactions. So let's get back to the social engineering. There's a lot of people that are socially engineered to go after mates that are ultimately bad for them. And on a deeper level, when it comes to spiritual warfare, I think that some people, when they're advancing in their personal life, agents of the matrix, if you will, can be activated, and they will find themselves coming across those individuals in the dating world. And that's something that men and women have to be on guard for. Is your body may be attracted to certain people, places, and things, but that's body consciousness. Okay, your higher consciousness and your more developed, higher developed sexuality isn't limited to being attracted to people that are ultimately going to hurt you. We have to question, men, women, we have to question ourselves, whatever your gender happens to be. And I believe there are only men and women, people that identify with women or men, that are watching this particular YouTube channel. We have to identify, what does it mean to be free of those lower senses and to have higher standards and not feel guilty about our sexuality, but be a little bit more responsible with it, because certain things are short-lived, but they come with consequences. Eating a lot of certain foods comes with a consequence. Smoking a lot of cigarettes, drinking a lot of beer, we have the freedom to do so, and we should continue to have the freedom to do what we want with our body. It's not a matter of whether we should do it or not. It's about being responsible with our body. As they say, the body is a temple. I'd like to think that there are other worlds out there where there are other humanoids that use a larger percentage of their brain. And as a result, their sexuality operates on a slightly, perhaps a great deal less primitive, more evolved, if you will. There's certain things that are built into the human biological blueprint. And certain things might even be genetically disposed into us, even to be attracted to certain people. For no specific reason at all, nothing to do with their character, but the body's saying, that DNA, that particular person. And in some cases, I believe that's what nature does. But I believe that ultimately, people don't want to be led around, shouldn't be led around by their lower senses, just what turns them on. And going from another abusive relationship to another abusive relationship, because some of that encoding in the body can be releasing endorphins to both the abused and the abuser in the unhealthy relationship. So sometimes I think about, what does it look like? Because when we talk about creating our reality, what does it look like? What do healthy relationships look like? Now, without all the gender warfare and the feminism, what does real equality look like? I don't mean like both go to the front lines and fight a foreign war. I mean on a different level. Say equality in the sense of both having the same ability to reach the Godhead, if you will, to speak on a more Gnostic tone. And I think that's the thing that's missing in the ongoing gender warfare, is knowing the beauty of men and women. And we may not see that beauty of men and women. Today's men and women, maybe only in a few, and sometimes they're taken. There's a reason for that, you know? There's also a reason why some people are single and they're choosing not to play the game. It's not because they're bad people. It's because this is a much more complex world with all this technology than back in the day when you used to ask somebody for their number, get up the confidence, have that first moment, have that eye contact. And now with technology, miscommunication over Facebook, and all that weird energy, relationships are taking a big, big toll. But you know, the solution is love. And like that song from the 70s, it's going to take a lot of love. I believe it's going to take just that to change the way things are. I may come back with more if this is a topic you appreciate. Until then, I'm Alex Ansary, reminding you the path to the ultimate truth and place of power, you can even say inner love, still lies within.